Well, we are taking you on a behind-the-scenes tour of one of the world's most intriguing and compelling industries this morning, the music biz. Renowned author, agent, and consultant Gene Foley joins me once again to share some of the advice he gives to aspiring musicians in his new book, Artist Development, a distinctive guide to the music industry's lost art. Gene, good morning once again.
Great to be here.
So let's talk, before we dive into the book, about technology. You mentioned how it's impacting record companies and so forth in our last segment. How is it impacting, things like iTunes, satellite radio? How is that affecting everything?
You know, it seems like nowadays in society people want immediacy. When they want something, they want it. And I think it's amazing that you could hear a song on the radio or on satellite, go to iTunes, buy it, and have it in your, on your computer, your stereo, your handheld, whatever, in a minute. It's like immediately, if you want something, you could have it. Where in the past, you'd have to go to the record store, buy the CD. And as an artist, you appreciate that immediacy because a lot of times people hear it and then you get busy in life and you forget and you never buy the CD.
Sure,
so I think that's a big help. They can get it right on the spot.
So definite good thing there, And let's talk a little bit about the book. For folks who are aspiring artists out there, again, it's called Artist Development. What are the big no-nos, Gene, that you find, aspiring musicians fall into when they're trying to make it big?
One of the biggest are their presentation, the press kit, when they put the bio and the photo and the cover letter, where they'll send a CD for their free evaluation, and it will look like a fifth grader did it. And then when you try to give them advice to help them, it's like, well, my music is great. I don't care about the presentation. But that's not true. When you're going to a magazine with that, a record company, a radio station, anyone who are getting hundreds of packages a week, that first impression before they hit the play button, they want to look professional. So that's a big one. And song arrangement is another area where the intros are too long. They're not getting to the chorus quick enough. And radio people and A&R at record companies, they're very strict with that. And if they're looking at that little counter in the timer in the CD window, and you're not hitting certain marks, it's in the garbage.
Do you recommend that everybody works with an advisor or a consultant such as yourself? I mean, is that a good idea?
I think it is, because it's such a complex business. And I think it's important to work with professionals and read books and go to seminars and really try to learn it. If you're going to run it like a business, and your competitors certainly are, you better know what you're doing, because I see too many people going down these crazy harebrained scheme ideas, and I'm like, well, why did you do that? It's, oh, my drummer said that's the way to work. And the drummer's a 20-year-old kid who's just learning himself.
Could end up wasting some time.
A lot of time,
money.
Just do it right.
And you mentioned song arrangement, and I know there are certain unwritten rules in the writing of a hit song. Can you kind of go over the basics of what's popular today?
Sure. I think if you're looking at us on the introduction, the musical part before you start singing has to be 9 seconds or less. So if you have, on your singles, the songs you're promoting to the radio and to the media. So if you're looking at that little counter in your CD player and it's 10 or longer and you haven't started singing yet, you have to fix that. You have to get to the chorus, the hook part of the song, between 40 and 43 seconds, somewhere in that window. Again, if it's 44 or 45, you got to fix it, because these people look at those things, and the minute you're not hitting the marks, to them it's telling them you're not developed, and out it goes.
Kind of like writing a news story, you want to capture your audience sooner rather than later, of course.
Exactly.
What do you say to the person watching, Gene, who says, boy, I'd love to be, the next Celine Dion or whomever, but I have no idea where to begin. I can't even get my thoughts together and start this process. What do you say to that person who feels a little lost?
I would say, definitely go to the, to the bookstore, the library, and start picking up some of the better books on the market that will at least give you 101, the basic fundamentals. There's great music conferences. There's one near here in February in Harrisburg, not too far. The Millennium Music Conference, very reasonable rates, all sorts of incredible daytime educational events, stuff like that, just to start learning how it works.
And I was talking to you earlier about our segments. We started on 69 News at Sunrise called Music Monday, where we feature local performers. And we're fortunate in this area, as you know, we're close to New York City and Philadelphia. But what if you live in someplace super rural where you don't have big cities anywhere near you? Is it essential in this day and age with technology that you move to those big cities if you want to make it, in your opinion?
I wouldn't say it doesn't have to necessarily be like a New York, Chicago, Philly size city. But it has to be at least a market that has a thriving music scene, where there are clubs to play. There's local press and college radio that will give you a chance. There's shows like this that have a great reach and will actually give an opportunity to a struggling musician to get on television. Any market like that. I mean, I've seen people coming out of Spokane, Washington, and Asheville, North Carolina, that It's not New York, but they have you know, outlets to get out to the people. And as long as you have a bunch of fans and you're making money, the record companies want to hear from you, regardless of what your zip code is.
Sure, that's the key, right?
Yeah.
And just quickly, Gene, what kind of feedback are you getting from the book? It must be awesome to see people following the advice you've shared with us this morning and doing well.
Yeah, that's a really fulfilling part of it, when you get the emails from people saying, you know, I read the book, I took the advice, and now I could see my presentation looks better. I'm making tangible strides in my career. It's just a great feeling. That's why I wrote it, to help people. That's why I keep the price at only $12.95, awesome. where some of the competing books are $30, $40. Yeah. You know, you got to know your market. It's struggling musicians. I want it in as many hands as possible. Yeah. So they could learn. That's
great. I'm sure a lot of people are very grateful. And lastly, where can they get this fabulous book?
Oh, well, thank you. Anywhere, any Barnes & Noble store in America, plus the Barnes & Noble website. And if they order it from my website, FoleyEntertainment.com, I will sign it for them as well. And those are on eBay, going for about 5 times the price. So it could even be a business break for you, too.
Wow, very nice. And what's next for you, Gene? Do you get to take a break after promoting the book? Or?
Yeah, doing a lot of the book promoting. And then I'm going to be starting my own regional television show, where it's going to bring on artists, and where they'll perform, they'll sit down and do an interview, and it's going to be airing from New England all the way to Delaware later this year in the fall.
Great. Well,
so we're working on that.
Best wishes. So, yeah. I'm sure it'll be fabulous, and thanks for all the advice this
morning. My pleasure.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Gene.
you.
Thanks so much, and we will be right back.